Ladies and gentlemen, it was 8th time lucky for Manish Sisodia. The Aam Aadmi Party leader, who's been in jail for 17 months, finally walked out of Tihar today. As he smiled and waved at his supporters, and there he is, there was a sigh of relief in the party, whose number 1 and number 2 have been in jail for extended periods of time. Remember, Delhi goes to elections in February. The party needs a leader outside jail to lead the charge, not inside jail. Mr. Sisodia went on the offensive almost as soon as he stepped out, saying his release is a slap on the face of dictators. Now, this was the third time that Manish Sisodia's bail application was in front of the highest court of the land. The Supreme Court granted him bail not on the merits of the case, but on the fact that the ED and the CBI were taking their own sweet time in starting the trial, perhaps deliberately. The court didn't say that, but that is what the Aam Aadmi Party says. The court said Mr. Sisodia has been deprived of his right to a speedy trial. The ED and the CBI, of course, were not too happy with this and asked the Supreme Court to send Mr. Sisodia back to the trial court for bail. But the Supreme Court saw through the trap and said that would amount to making him play a game of snake and ladders. The Supreme Court also said that a citizen cannot be made to run from pillar to post for personal liberty. Now, the Supreme Court had also reserved some strong words for the lower courts, reminding them that bail is the rule and jail is the exception. Point is, ladies and gentlemen, the Supreme Court has said this at least 1,000,000 times before. But bail continues to be the rule and not the exception. As you know, Mr. Sisodia was arrested by the CBI on February 26, 2023. And a couple of weeks later, the ED also arrested him, which means he has spent 531 days in jail. I'm repeating that. He has spent 531 days in jail. Just for perspective, that is half the minimum sentence for the crime he's accused of. For the Aam Aadmi Party, this was a moment to celebrate. The BJP in turn asked, what exactly are you celebrating?
एक झूठे केस में फंसाकर जेल में रखा गया। आज का दिन भारत के इतिहास में, भारत की शिक्षा व्यवस्था के इतिहास में जाएगा कि उस शिक्षा क्रांति के जनक की आज बेल हुई, आज सच्चाई की जीत हुई, शिक्षा की जीत हुई, दिल्ली के बच्चों की जीत हुई।
केवल इस साल की बात कर रही हूं, 7 बार उनकी बेल खारिज हुई। आज ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया के समक्ष उनके वकीलों ने मेरिट्स पे कोई दलील नहीं दी। उनकी प्ली केवल और केवल डिले पर आधारित थी। वो अभी भी अभियुक्त हैं और उनकी जवाबदेही कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ में बनेगी दिल्ली की जनता के साथ विश्वासघात करने की। माननीय मनीष सिसोदिया जी ऐसे दिल्ली के शिक्षा मंत्री हैं जो दिल्ली की बच्चों को, दिल्ली की जनरेशन को पाठशाला से मधुशाला तक ले जाने का पाप कर चुके हैं।
Let me introduce my guest to you this evening. Abhishek Sudhir is a political analyst, will be speaking on behalf of the BJP. Piyush Joshi is a political analyst, will be speaking on behalf of the Aam Aadmi Party. And Sanjay Hegde is a senior advocate. He'll be speaking on behalf of all of us, the citizens of India. Mr. Sanjay Hegde, you just heard Basuri Swaraj, BJP MP there, almost proudly saying that, look, he's been denied bail 7 times. So why are you so happy that he's got bail, on his request? It's all very well, Mr. Hegde. I'll come to the political tutu meme a bit later. It's all very well for the Supreme Court to say that lower courts need to recognize that bail is the rule, jail is the exception, and they've said it 100 times before. But the fact is, if you look at this particular case itself, this is the 3rd time that Mr. Manish Sisodia's bail was in front of the Supreme Court. So 2 times before, even they have rejected his bail, no?
Yes, on the previous case, it was rejected on the ground that the trial had to be completed within 6 months. So, obviously, the trial never took off. And that's the real problem in India. Nobody looks at proving a person's guilt or innocence in court. The process being the punishment.
Mr. Hegde,
but
can I
what
take a
stage
minute of
the
your
process-
time? We'll need to fix your audio. Mr.
Okay.
Hegde, we'll need to fix your audio. It's very faint. So take a couple of minutes. That's okay. I'm going to my other guest this evening. Take a couple of minutes and we'll come back to you. Abhishek Sudhir, why should the Aam Aadmi not celebrate? Why is the BJP saying you're celebrating corruption? You're not celebrating corruption. Every person has a right to bail. That is exactly what the Supreme Court has done. Let Manish Sisodia out on bail. What is the point of saying कि अरे इसको छोड़ा थोड़ी ना है? Of course हमको पता है उसको छोड़ा नहीं है.
Well, Shreya, let me tell you, I've been a member of the Aam Aadmi Party in my past, and I have seen the repercussions of this scam play out internally in the party. Now, first of all, 531 days in jail. Are we to believe that the Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, who's been in jail for 531 days, is innocent? At least there's a prima facie case against him. He's innocent until proven guilty, but there's a prima facie case
चलो
against him.
case है, तो why is the trial not started?
The basic problem is
17 months.
I know what Mr. Hegde was alluding to. This is not a political problem. This is a problem of the legal system. Now, the court today asked ASG Raju, when will the trial start? ASG Raju said 1 month after framing of charges. Now, framing of charges itself is an extremely complicated exercise that in a complex case like this will take several months, and then the trial will commence. When the Supreme Court denied Mr. Sisodia bail, they knew, Shreya, these are the most seasoned lawyers who have become judges. They know that Mr. Sisodia's trial is not going to commence in 6 months. Everybody knew that his trial is not going to commence in 6 months. And then you have Justice Gawai today saying that when it comes to personal liberty, every day counts. Are we to believe that the senior most judges in this country actually believed in such a complex case with so many conspirators and players across states in India that the trial would commence in 6 months? They knew it wouldn't commence. The Supreme Court does not speak with consistency. The Supreme Court speaks in different voices. Today you had Justice Gawai, Justice Sanjeev Khanna has been dealing with this case up until this point. The Supreme Court does not speak in one voice. Now you have Justice Vishwanathan, who sat with Justice Gawai, who said the trial courts are playing it safe. Why don't you grant bail? Shreya, I teach young lawyers who are aspirants for the judiciary. They are in their early 30s. Can they grant bail in a case like this? Of course they'll play it safe.
Why can't they
Because
grant?
the Supreme
What
Court-
is the evidence so far?
Exactly. See, there is a prima facie
If
case.
there is no evidence, if the
Yes.
trial has not started, why will you not grant a person bail?
Exactly. So you be consistent like they are in the UK and the US.
Huh.
Very famous journalist, for example, called Hugh Edwards of the BBC. Right? He's been arrested on charges of pedophilia. He's already out on bail. In the UK, rapists and murderers get bail. In the US, rapists and murderers get bail immediately. In India, that's not the case. Because there
in
is a
India
public
also.
outrage. No, not.
In India
no,
also
it
they
depends
walk
on
out.
it depends on how deep your pockets are. There's a very famous journalist.
You know Bilkis Bano, na?
Of course.
You know what happened with her rapists?
But they've been convicted. They got bail because of, yeah, sure. And Supreme Court sent them back. So now, tell me something. The Supreme Court says bail is the rule, not jail. Why deny him liberty for 6 more months? Why keep him in prison for 6 more months? Did the Supreme Court think logically that 6 months of trial? And please wait, hang on. Arvind Kejriwal is arrested in March. He's the chief minister. He is granted bail before Manish Sisodia by the Supreme Court. This judgment makes no sense to me.
Okay. Would you want to come in, Sanjay Hegde? Essentially, what Abhishek Sudhir is saying is that the Supreme Court also doesn't speak in the same language all the time. They're not consistent when it comes to this jail bail wala hisab.
No, ask Mr. Hegde, does he believe the Supreme Court judges actually had a bona fide belief that the trial would commence in 6 months?
No, of course they didn't. No. Anyhow.
That was the basis on which Justice Sanjeev Khanna said that have the trial in 6 months. He put the prosecution on trial in a certain sense. Prove your case. I'm giving you all the time. And if you can't prove your case, because you must remember that there is a very high burden in PMLA cases on granting of bail. The judge has to believe not only that no crime has been committed, secondly, that no crime will be committed in the future. And there are judgments of the Supreme Court which said that you can't get to that determination without having a trial. So, yes, the legal heritage that the Supreme Court has made for itself does come in the way, but it has reiterated today that trial courts have full rights to grant bail. And my heart goes out to the young judge in the Rouse Avenue court who granted bail to Arvind Kejriwal, only to have the Delhi High Court step in even without an order and stay that order.
Correct.
So therefore, yes, I agree with Abhishek that the courts are not consistent on the grant of bail. But thank God that they err on the side of the citizen once in a while. Abhishek's argument seems to be that today they made a mistake, or that they made a mistake 6 months ago, or possibly they made a mistake 6 months ago, but they did not persist in the error. At least now they've granted him bail, and they will grant, and hopefully it will go on to the other people in the case.
So, Shreya, the Supreme Court is tying itself up in knots. You have granted Manish Sisodia bail in the ED case and the CBI case. You have granted Arvind Kejriwal bail in the ED case, but he's not got bail in the CBI case. Now, on what grounds are you going to? Now, Abhishek Manu Singhvi has said exactly that today.
It's not the Supreme Court complicating matters. It is investigating agencies that are complicating matters.
Investigating agencies.
CBI में bail मिल गया तो ED ने arrest कर लिया.
It's not the ED's job to grant bail. It's the ED's job to oppose bail if they want to oppose bail. And in certain cases, they don't want to oppose bail. Supreme Court now, the appellate courts will make all kinds of findings. As I said about the young judge, I sympathize with that young judge because she has possibly committed career suicide. She might never get elevated now. Her promotions might get affected. See, the young lawyers at the forefront, you are asked to deal with these complicated cases and grant bail when the Supreme Court themselves don't agree that bail is the rule and jail is the exception.
So you yourself are saying that there are political repercussions to what judges do at a trial court or the higher court.
Shreya, are there no political repercussions? Everybody knows this. Whoever across party lines.
I'm glad
but
you
Indira
say.
Gandhi was the one who started
given
it
the
with
fact that you're representing the BJP.
No, I'm not representing the BJP.
And I'm glad you're being honest.
The committed judiciary, this malaise of the committed judiciary started with Indira Gandhi. It started with Indira Gandhi. So every party. I'm telling you, Mr. Hegde is an advocate. I'm an advocate. Dr. Joshi is a doctor. Let me tell you honestly. What is the Supreme Court today says, why are you playing it safe? Oh, so should I listen to Justice Gavai or Vishwanathan or should I listen to Justice Sanjeev Khanna? And then you have Chief Justice Chandrachud who makes these bold declarations on a Friday night and Monday morning he will do exactly the opposite. So, I mean, what are we to expect?
Piyush Joshi is smiling.
This is the gossip in the corridors of the Supreme Court, which no lawyer will say. But I don't mind, I don't have a practice, I don't have a career at the bar.
I don't want any contempt of court notice on the channel.
Don't worry, the contempt is with me and BJP has to give consent, they won't.
There you go. Piyush Joshi, would you want to come in here? The lawyers here seem to be saying that this is less political and more legal. Is that what you believe? Because the BJP today is saying, what are they even celebrating? Bail to mili hai, wo bhi 17 mahine baad. Clean chit to nahi mila.
Shreya, let me tell you what I'm celebrating. Has our stand been vindicated? Is it the victory of truth? Is it a proof of innocence of the Aam Aadmi Party, Manish Sisodia ji and Kejriwal ji? You know,
victory of truth kaise hai ye?
Listen. Just let me complete, right? It's not all that we are celebrating. I particularly am a strong supporter of Aam Aadmi Party. Abhishek switched sides, he had a change of heart, fine. But what am I celebrating? Rather than a celebration, it's a sense of relief. It's a sense of proud. It's a sense of pride. Why I am so proud today? Why I am relieved today? Because an honest man has been let out. Now, rightly so, though a little delayed, that's fine. He chose 530 days of imprisonment rather than joining BJP. That is the strength of resolve that Manish Sisodia has. And look at the courage of this man. As soon as he's out, he's been inside jail for almost 2 years. BJP left no stone unturned to destroy his political career, and BJP would have kept him behind bars for indefinite period, had it been left to them. But this man comes out and vows, on the Constitution of India. I'm just proud and I'm relieved. And there is a contradiction in Abhishek's statement. Why?
Okay,
Because I know from inside the Aam Aadmi of his heart is celebrating this release, and that is why you are seeing this contradiction in Abhishek's
अच्छा
statement.
ठीक है
And
ठीक है
I'm
पीयूष
just
जी
happy.
वो मैं
I just
समझ
wanna
गई
make a
no
point.
quickly if you do you want to make a point on
Yes.
on him coming out and
Yes.
saying this is a slap
I'll tell you what.
on the face of every dictator.
I'll tell you what Dr. Joshi knows, I know, every member, past and present of the Aam Aadmi Party knows that the way Manish Sisodia has been treated by Arvind Kejriwal is nothing short of disgraceful.
ये conspiracy
No, it's not
theories मत
conspiracy.
चलाओ. Of course, this is
Please hear me
conspiracy.
out. When
The
he was
ED
arrested,
tried to
just hear
say
me
it
out.
in
Just hear me
court,
out. I'm making a
and the court told them don't do this, don't do badmashi.
Allow me to make me a. Now this is the political debate. Moving out of the legal aspect. Manish Sisodia's wife was evicted from the bungalow on Mathura Road, which was meant for Manish Sisodia. When within 10 days of Mr. Sisodia being arrested, Atishi moved into that bungalow. Mr. Sisodia, this is a political point. Mr. Sisodia has been made the fall guy. Mr. Sisodia has been made the scapegoat. The mastermind is Arvind Kejriwal, who wants to be prime minister. That is why he wants to win elections in Goa, and there's no crime in that. But if you're committing a crime to become prime minister, then you will be in jail.
Okay, do we know a crime was committed? No, we don't.
Of course, we have prima facie evidence. Shreya, you think the Supreme Court of India, Arnab Goswami got bail in a week, Mohammad Zubair got bail in a week, Manish Sisodia has not got bail in 531 days. Are you telling me there's no prima facie case?
Because the ED and the CBI are complicating matters to an extent where it's becoming extremely difficult for courts to give bail. है ना?
Come on. How the ED and the CBI, the courts to give bail? The Supreme Court brought down the Sahara Empire, Shreya. Subrata Roy's Sahara was brought down by the Supreme Court because of contempt of that court. The Supreme Court remains the most powerful body in this country today.
I know that Arvind Kejriwal and Manish Sisodia are guilty in the alleged Liquorgate scam.
There's
I don't know.
There's a prima facie case.
Neither do you. Neither
there's
does
a prima
Mr.
facie
Hegde.
case.
No, we'll let the courts decide. We'll let the courts decide.
That's why he was
Interestingly,
denied bail 531 days.
Shikha Rai was spokesperson of the Delhi BJP. I don't know, she was supposed to join us and he would have liked a BJP voice on the show. Just gone missing. Anyhow, thank you very much. Abhishek Sudhir, good to have you on the show. Piyush Joshi ji, namaskar. Thank you. And Sanjay Hegde, thank you very much for being with us on the show as well. Ladies